Hi guys, it's Lucy. Today I wanted to talk about this book that I read very quickly called The Priory of the Orange Tree, and it's by Samantha Shannon, who I believe she has a really successful series called The Bone Season out already that has like many books, but I haven't read any of those. I picked up this book after eyeing it on the shelf for months, I think. And I just sort of I had this built up craving for fantasy fiction. So I was hesitant because it's such a long book. I think it's like just 800 pages, and I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure about the whole thing, but I did really like the cover art. This is like a bit vain, but it's the year of the dragon, and I've been craving some sort of dose of Eastern fantasy with the normal fantasy that I do consume or have read in the past when I was younger. I think as a huge fan of Babel by R.F. Kuang, whoever is a fan of that or interested in that, I think this is very much your cup of tea as well. I wasn't such a huge fan of the Poppy War. I did enjoy the touch of history that it added, but that was almost too much Eastern element for me. Um, the last fantasy the two series that I remember really captured my attention from a couple years ago. One was by Catherine Arden, and it had this medieval Russian theme running throughout the trilogy. And I think the first one was The Bear and the Nightingale, and then there was also like Winter of the Witch, which was the last one, and The Girl in the Tower was the second book. And the other series that really caught my attention was, I think the author's name was Davos, and it's the Mirror Visitor Quartet. So yeah, definitely more of a Western theme based on taste. Like this is for anyone looking for recommendations who are fans of those series. I think you would really like this as well. What's I think there's a couple of really good things about it other than just the completeness and richness of the plot, which I think is pretty widely commented on. All the secondary characters almost have their own subplots built in, and I think that really helped with the pacing. So the chapters are fairly short, and you're flipping mostly between a east view and a west view. By view I mean like plot wise, and eventually of course like they're all adjoining, interwoven, especially towards the middle and the end. You get a sense of it in the beginning, but they seem kind of like separate stories for a while, for a long while. And I think in the middle, there are these interjections of a South perspective as well, and that adds to the whole like political context of the thing. And everything is very much fiction, but so much of it rings true of the world as is, that has been shaped how it looks like in modern day, which is a very artful thing to do, I think, of the author. I really liked how, I mean, you could point to specific things in religion, like, dragons, or the whole idea of like how the Western monarchy is built. Everything is very similar to reality. But what rings true the most, I think, that connects like me as a reader, is seeing how they have such different views of each other, and there's so much like inherent distrust of the other, when in fact they have like the same enemy. And there was, I think, one line in the whole like 800 pages, I think, I forget which character says it, but I think it's actually the unnamed one, like the big evil dragon. I think he said something like, he is the one that is uniting human race. Without him, we would all be just scrambling around, being consumed with our greed and hunger for power. And all of this, like it's almost like a little bit of Cloud Atlas vibes too, like which is completely different. That's science fiction, but it's just it's that same theme, and I really like that. It's not, completely removed from the world as is today. There's so much human nature that is embedded in this book, and I like how it is a complete story in itself. Like, there is already a second book out, in the market, and I think it's hardcover only. I bought the two at the same time, but I think they are standalone novels. The second one is, a little bit of a sequel. I would say, I think, just briefly reading the synopsis, it's set like a couple hundred years later after the, sort of the grand finale fight, that takes place in this one. So, a very hefty read, but a very quick one, which is, for me, I think I finished this in about a week. And yeah, I would highly recommend. And for anybody who is a Canadian reader, I got this from bookoutlet.ca for only like $10, which I think I didn't expect it, because it's a fairly recent book, and they have a really good deal on the hardcover copy of the second book as well. So I don't plan on reading the second book, just yet. I think I'm going to give it some time to digest. I get these fantasy cravings maybe like once every couple of months, so I think I'm going to save that for like a winter read. It's a total escapism thing. Like, it's not something that it requires a lot of critique or like mental energy for me. Like, and it's not really a topic that is just overladen with the problems that we deal with today. Like, many problems. So I think I'm reading a book about food, agricultural, like, supply chain safety. There was a book about like cyber security and privacy, as a whole like subtopic, and then there's like other books on essays and just on poverty that I'm reading on, and these are like really heavy topics, but they're very fascinating because of the depth they go into to explore the issues. Valuable, but I like, between, for somebody who has a normal work schedule and a full personal life, sometimes we all just need that cozy book that you can just like, I don't know, take a huge, long, extended coffee break with, or in the bath, whatever you prefer, that you can just get lost in completely, and it's still grounded enough to be sort of relatable in a weird sense, even though this is a world with magic and dragons. But at the same time, it's, that whole, you're stepping into a world that is full, that has its own religion, that has its own biases to of people, and it's still very relatable in that way. So something that I would highly recommend as a break. And let me know if you guys have read this as well, or the second book, or it's something that you might look into, or if you have any other fantasy recommendations. Let me know. I'm very curious about that as well. Have a great day, guys. Bye.